welcome back to our homestead. It's time for me to expand my hives and give them more space to start creating some nectar and bring some honey. So right now I have two supers in my hives. One is the brood, as always, and the second one is we call the honey super. But right now the queen is so active that she's laying everywhere on the first and in the second super. So I'm adding a third super right now, and it's going to be strictly for the honey alone. And I'm getting my frames ready. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I prefer to use the natural wax foundation versus the plastic one, and there are pros and cons to that. So as I am putting them together, I will talk to you guys about why I choose to use the natural wax foundation versus the plastic. Okay, first things first, we have to put the frames together, and these are pine wood. They're very easy to work with, and it's cheaper if you put them together yourself. They come in a box out of all of these pieces, and you have to put them together and secure them either with a staple gun so they're nice and sturdy, or if you run out of staples, you can always use 1-inch finish nails, and my husband used a nail gun to secure them together. It goes very fast. You just boom, boom, boom. They fit together very easily. You put them all together, and it's a really good activity to do on a rainy day. The second step is actually wiring, and there are 4 holes on each. There are 4 holes on each side, okay? And you put the wire through. The wire that I use, they always sell them on all of the beekeeping websites. I suggest buying a whole spool, because trust me, you're gonna use it, if not today, maybe tomorrow. And just again attaching them, and they have to be nice and tight. They have to be tight, because if they're loose, they're not gonna do a good job. So they have to be nice and tight. And then we actually have to put the foundation in. All right, so here's my wax foundation. Again, it comes in a box, and each layer is protected by little parchment paper, so nothing sticks to each other. And it's made out of a natural wax, just like this, okay? And they're different companies and they look differently, but the idea is the same thing. And I do suggest working on a cool day, because on a very hot day they melt very, very fast, very fast. So we already put the frames together. I already worked all afternoon by putting all the wires in and tightening, and now I'm going to be putting this foundation in. So if you look inside, there is a groove inside of the frame, and there's a groove in the middle on the top as well. And now I just have to put the foundation into the frame. And sometimes they go in very easily, and sometimes you have to work with them, because on a very hot day they are more flexible. On a cool day they're less flexible. So I just bend them a little bit so they fit into my groove pretty easily. Okay, I'm gonna make sure they fit on the bottom as well. Okay, and it's in. All right, so, oh, it stuck to me. All right, so here's the important part now. If this foundation is not secured to this wire, on a hot day, this foundation will fall off and it will be very difficult for the bees to work with it. So I have this cool tool that I got. It's a wooden board with special grooves in here, and I'll show you what they're for. Again, this is available on most of the beekeeping sites. You can order that from them, and it's a cool little tool. It has little legs, so it's sturdy on the firm foundation. So do you see this big wide space right here? This is for the top of the frame. It goes right there, and it fits right in, okay? Then so it fits in here, and then you slide to the edge. And now all of these four, you can see, you know what, actually do upside down so it's easier to see. All of these four wires are against a wooden plank underneath. And then you need this cool little tool. I keep forgetting what it's called, but it's something wheel. I'll look up the exact term for this. And again, you can buy them on most of the websites that provide beekeeping supplies. One little advice: they have big wheels, like big choppy wheels, and very small ones. I recommend this big choppy wheel versus a small one. I like how this one works better, and my papa recommended this as well. It's a nice wooden handle, and that's what we need to do. So now it's secure into this device. I'm taking my tool and I'm going to be placing it right against this wire and gently run it on top of the wire. No rush. You work carefully but very confidently, and you press that down. So this helps for the wax foundation to be secured to the frame itself. Okay, again, you just grab it and you carefully roll right on top. Oops, right on top. I'm going off a little bit. I need to make sure I stay on it. All right, so don't drink too much coffee before, so your hands are not very shaky. And just run this along just like that. This is a good time to listen to your favorite podcast, okay? Or listen to a book on the audio or something like that. So now this is ready, and now this can go into your super and be ready for the next step. So why am I not a big fan of plastic foundation? Also, here's an example. Here is actually a used frame from using plastic foundation. I don't know if you can see it inside, but it's a plastic foundation. Sometimes it works great and the bees accept them and they build comb on it beautifully, and it comes out like a beautiful honey. And then the good thing about plastic frames, that you can go ahead after they get really, really dark like these, and you no longer want to use this because it's going to give you a very dark honey, right? You can take any kind of tool and just scrape it all off, clean it all up, and give it back to the bees to reuse it again. So it's very cost effective. However, I have had experiences when the bees are not wanting to build too much comb on it. And this is what happens. They leave a lot of space around, So that's a lot of wasted space. And again, I know there are going to be beekeepers who's going to be writing to me and they're going to say, I love my plastic frames, plastic foundation. And you know what? That's fine. And I have used them in the past too. And I'm going to probably reuse these because I'm not going to throw them away, right? But I also find that they don't store well over the winter if they're not being utilized. They turn moldy very quickly, even with good ventilation. I have less problems with wax foundation when it comes to storage. I also found that wax foundation, even though we're going to talk about it, it's less cost effective, but there's better yield for honey. Definitely better yield for honey. So yes, plastic, more cost effective. You can reuse them and reuse them and reuse them for years to come until they get like really bad. But there are also issues that it's less yielding for honey, okay? More susceptible for allowing double comb. When the bees, I don't think I've saved one of those combs frames, when they begin to build a comb sideways like this rather than down, they begin to build them in layers and it becomes a complete mess, and I'm not liking that very much. Okay, so you can go ahead right now. It's very dark frame. I'm gonna take a knife and I'm gonna scrape it all off. The wax is gonna go for candle making. We're gonna clean it, we're gonna boil it, we're gonna utilize it in making home candles and salves and that sort of thing, right? But and like I said, it's very cost effective, but I just don't like how it doesn't produce as much honey as it does in the natural comb. So let me show you the natural comb. So here is a very used up honey comb, and you can tell that the sides already falling apart. I'm gonna use this one more time. But I find that bees are liking the natural foundation better for building comb. For some reason, they prefer that. So if I will use up plastic, natural, every other, I will see where they like to build their comb. And they prefer the natural wax foundation over plastic, at least in my experience. So that's why, yes, I'm going to be reusing my plastic. I'm not going to throw them away, of course. I'm going to reuse them. But I also want to make more of a natural foundation. What are the negatives about the natural foundation? Well, they don't last. After several years, you need to discard them and start making new ones. Because once they get really, really dark, like this, guess what? They're gonna give you very dark honey. Also, once they start making very large combs, that's gonna invite to lay more drones versus bee cells. And that's also not a good idea, or at least that's what Papa teaches me. So that is why I am building more natural foundation frames. Okay, so I've done a few and several more to go. So friends, if you are a beekeeper or studying a beekeeper or very experienced beekeeper, I would love to hear from you. Please share your ideas and your experiences with bee foundation, and what is it that you like better and why. Okay, I hope that my YouTube channel is a platform for people to share their ideas, their stories, and learn from each other. So no negative comments, please. If you have nothing nice to say nothing at all, right? Isn't that a saying? So friends, I hope you are encouraged to do some beekeeping. It's a fun thing to do. Sometimes it's very rewarding. Sometimes it can be painful if you lose your hives. But anyway, friends, I hope you are encouraged and try something new.